In today's video, I want to cover how you can ultimately audit your whole entire ad account, how to see what's happening with the proper account campaign structure. Now, before I go into super in-depth, high level, what eMetrics means or what you should optimize for depending on your ad budget, I want to extrapolate and make this consensus pretty clear. Before you do anything inside the ad account, you could test ABO, you can go interest-based targeting, you can go fully broad testing with DCTs, it doesn't matter. Nothing's going to move the needle for your business more than optimizing areas outside of the business. For example, if you're struggling with generating a net profit and you're trying to at least hit break even on the front end CPA, let's say your CPA is on average $20, right? And your AOV is around $40 or $30. Now, the goal would be, okay, can you come up with a bundle that can allow you to have profitable unit economics with a gross margin over 80%? If not, then you have to look out areas outside of the business, right? What does creatives look like to lower your CPA? Can you increase your conversion rate with landing pages? So on and so forth. These areas are going to do more for your business than any specific strategy. So I say this to say, when I use metrics, this is going to give me a clearer picture of where is the problem within the business. Is it a creative issue? Is it a post-click issue? Is it an offer issue? When I'm able to define each term and see the bottleneck within the business, I can then fix that, optimize it, make iterations to the whole entire funnel, and then I can run an A/B test to now see, okay, does this iteration improve the business? 9 times out of 10, it does. So instead of testing a lot of variables all at once, the goal with this process is to pinpoint where's the bottleneck, fixing one variable at a time. And the more iterations, the more you're testing, your conversion rate's going to go up, your CPCs are going to go down, your AOV is going to skyrocket. And now if you run this test for over a 90-day period, you're going to have the winning combinations of creatives, product, bundles, even the post-click experience, increasing the conversion rate so that you are super profitable. So with that being said, let's dive into the ad account and show you how to break this all down. So I'm going to walk you through my specific ad account that I personally ran ads on. We'll do a high level breakdown. I'll show you how I structure my metrics from a brand new customer who's entering the funnel to then somebody actually booking in a call. And then I'll apply those same principles to, let's say, an e-commerce brand. The reason why I can't show you exact ad accounts from my clients is because, of course, with any partner I do business with, their privacy is protected, and I don't need to flash case studies to get clients because what I share is pure value. But let's dive into specifics. Now, first things first, the way I structure my specific settings or the metrics that you need to focus on is we have our campaign at the highest level, delivery, budget, amount spent, impressions, CPM, which is the cost per 1,000 impressions. We have the reach, the frequency, the clicks, the cost per click, the click-through rate, the amount of landing page views, the cost per landing page views. For this specific funnel, I have the cost per registration completed because somebody's filling out a lead form and they're booking a call, and then the cost per lead. But in the e-commerce setting, this would be, okay, what is the amount of add to carts? What's the cost per add to cart? What is the initiate checkout phase? What's the total amount of initiate checkouts? What's the cost per initiate checkout? And then I'd have complete purchase here, and then the cost per complete purchase. And then I'd have total AOV, or actually purchase conversion value here. And then I'll go a step further. I'll create my own metric for AOV, which if I break this down, AOV simply purchase conversion value divided by purchases, which is your overall AOV. Now that's what I would do in an e-commerce setting. And then when I break this down on a high level, the max amount of campaigns I would have running is really ultimately just one for the specific offer I'm running. And then if I do an A/B test, and let's say I'm changing the landing page, then I had to create a separate campaign, duplicate it, and then do an A/B test split on that, where all the variables are the same, all the creatives are the same, but I'm just changing the destination page. And so every variable test you do that isn't creative related, but let's say it affects the offer or the post-click. Let's say you're changing a different offer or you're sending traffic to a different landing page, then do a separate campaign, duplicate your main campaign with all the creatives, and then run your test from there. But you want to keep everything else the same depending on whatever variable you want to test, and then you keep that variable that you are testing fluid. So now if I were to break this down, let's break down this campaign. This had more spend. So the amount spent here, we have our DCT test, and then we have our main winners ad set hosting the post IDs. So this specific DCT number 3 had $766 in spend. CPM was pretty high, click-through rate was pretty high, but if I look at our cost per lead, $100, which is not too bad because let's say my offer price is like $5K. So not too bad. 2 appointments scheduled, and then we're looking at cost per appointment at $300, which for e-commerce, like for my specific info product, not too bad. So The way I do this is pretty much how I structure these creatives is pretty simple. I have one specific ad concept. I create 2 additional variations. I optimize from there, and then I have 2 variations of ad copy, and then from here I have the headlines, and I'm just sending traffic to my website link. Now, if I look at the ad set level, I just ultimately, if you're e-commerce, you're going to optimize your website. You want to maximize the number of conversions, and then you want to have your main pixel set up, and then whatever ideally your conversion event is purchases. Now with dynamic creative, think about this. If you have 2 segments where if you do the ABO side, you're forcing spin across losers, whereas if you turn on dynamic creative, Meta's creating multiple combinations of one single ad concept. Let's say you have one ad concept with 3 total variations. Well, Meta's going to create up to 12 combinations with different variations of your specific image, copy, headline, so on and so forth. The headline stays the same, but ultimately the copy is going to create multiple variations. So ideally, let's say if you spend $100 on DCTs in a campaign level in a CBO environment versus, let's say, ABO manually putting $20, $30 into each ad set for whatever you're testing, what is going to be more cost efficient? Well, when you have a campaign in CBO, majority of your budget's going to go to whatever Meta deems is best for the end user. So in this scenario, this creative was the best performing. And if I break this down by DCT, look at just how many combinations were created. So in theory, I save more money going and setting the budget at the campaign level versus manually splitting budget across the ad sets. And I'm working with Meta's algorithm because they are choosing to spend money on creatives that are best for the end user. So if you're strapped for cash, I always suggest having this campaign structure where you have one campaign, budget is set at the campaign level. Let me see this. So budget set at the campaign level here. We have a maximum 2 active DCTs that were creative testing, and we have our main winners ad set that hosts all the post IDs from our creative tests. So then in theory, over time, the more you spend, the stronger this campaign gets, and the more ad creatives you have that are filling the funnel, well then the more efficiency you're going to see at scale at higher spends. So this is probably the easiest way you can go from like $100 a day to $500 a day to $1,000 a day within less than like 2 weeks, because once you have these winners, they're all working together. Now I could go a step further and say, okay, well, Chris, how do I want to define and come up with ways to analyze where each creative fits within the funnel? Well, there's 4 metrics that explain the creative process, and it's not that hard, right? Although a lot of people talk about vanity metrics like click-through rates, like frequency, like CPMs, those are metrics we can't control, right? Like a CPC sub $10, of course, the traffic's going to be cheaper, but we don't know the correlation to that to, okay, what the average AOV is. But what I want to figure out is, okay, where does each creative fit within the funnel? So what I'm going to optimize for is simply put these metrics right here. I can have, this is all I need to define where each creative fits within the funnel. CPM, frequency, amount spent, and then your total purchase, and then your cost per purchase. But with these metrics, what this does is pretty simple. Okay, let's say I run this and I'm able to see, okay, amount spent. Let's look at just where this ranks within this DCT. Now I know, okay, this got majority of the spend. The frequency was 1.52. So on average, everybody that came across this video, 50% of them were retargeted. This is where Facebook placed this specific ad creative, and we could tell by that because the CPM is $41. On average in e-commerce, with a higher frequency, you're going to have a higher CPM. With the lower frequency, you're going to have lower CPM. So that's just the nature of the business. So like, what does a healthy creative structure look like at the campaign level? Well, you want 1 or 2 creatives that are top of funnel focused, CPM sub $10, frequency at like 1.02, 1.03, because although the cost per purchase might not be profitable, you're still getting a ton of views and a ton of engagement. And let's say you have 2 additional other creatives that are more middle funnel / bottom of the funnel, where the frequency resembles 1.43, a CPM at like $25 or $30, then that's more bottom of the funnel retargeting. So your cost per purchase is going to be a bit more, I would say at least break even or somewhat profitable, because it's retargeting a bunch of users. Now the equilibrium behind this is you have this top of, like, for example's sake, let's say you have this top of funnel creative that's generating a ton of views, but let's say you're barely at break even or a bit at a loss, but you see that this is filling the funnel with other like customers that didn't purchase, but they're getting retargeted with these other 2 creatives, well, then those cost for purchases is going to resemble where you're at within the profit margin. Because the moment you turn off a top of funnel creative, everything else within the funnel goes to crap. So we want to mitigate that risk, and we want to measure everything on an incremental lift perspective. Because if we just optimize solely for Facebook and say, okay, we want X amount of ROAS, well, then this platform is fleeting. Because let's say you have other campaigns on different platforms like a Google ads or TikTok ads. Well, then how can we account for that if we're just optimizing for last attribution on Facebook? Because the customer journey is not one customer journey is the same, right? People could come across your ad on Facebook but not convert, but come across a Google ad, and then that gets them to convert. So I want you to keep that in mind. Is we want to measure everything on a holistic level of, okay, how does this creative or this ad impact the rest of the campaign? And we want to measure that success in each placement. So then when we make decisions on a 7-day window, we actually analyze, okay, this creative is filling the funnel, whereas these other creatives are more bottom of the funnel, getting the job done of retargeting these users. So with that being said, guys, I know I covered a lot, but that's the way you have to psychoanalyze everything within your business. That's just the nature of the game. The moment you're able to see, okay, where the placement is within each creative, well, then the moment you're able to find success and you're able to determine what is the reason for that success. Because you're spending a lot of money on ads, the last thing you want is not knowing what's happening or what test or what value you're getting from the test you've mentioned. So with that being said, guys, if you want an in-depth breakdown or something high level of how to ultimately transition your business into building fully in-house so that you could possibly exit, check out my website, scalevelocity.io. I have a 1-hour video going super high level of the step-by-step process. I have our exact protocol steps necessary to hit and exit with your D2C brand. I have our thesis. Here's my 34-page protocol going super in depth that is covered by this video here. And then as a byproduct as well, you can see our case studies. If you are interested, feel free to book in a time, because if you're a D2C founder, right, you either pay with time or you pay with money. The faster you're able to get your business super profitable, well, then the faster you're able to now make adjustments and be set up for an exit. And of course, here are case studies, here are results, here are testimonials from a bunch of D2C founders who we've partnered with. We have Braxton from Braxley Bands, we have Parker Smith from Yee Apparel, we have Florin from Digits Only, so on and so forth. So if you guys are interested and you're a D2C brand and you want to skip the process of beating around the bush, getting burned by agencies, feel free to book in a call below.